We're going to go to Lagos for a pointed assessment. And for that, I'm joined now from our studios in Lagos by the development economist and the investment banking executive, Dr. Nemeka Obiaraeri. I want to thank you very much indeed, Doc, for being patient. But you can see we had heard it from the horse's mouth, so it was quite important to get that perspective. But from your assessment, looking at the figures of 24.48% for inflation, is that in line with what you were expecting?
Charles, I listened with rapt attention to his explanation. And basically, I wasn't disappointed because, to be very honest with you, the base year that they used is 2024. And I want us to, first of all, understand what consumer price index is and why countries rebase. Of course, we know that it measures the average prices of basket of goods and services that are weighted over a given period of time. It can be monthly, it can be quarterly, it can be annually. And basically, what happens for a country to decide to rebase, there are two key factors that drives it. There will be changes in consumer pattern, consumer behavior. Of course, consumer preferences evolve over time. It may be because of new products and services in the market. And again, at the macro level, it may be changes in the economic situation of the country, new technologies, new industries evolving. For the case of Nigeria, actually, there have been changes in consumer preferences and consumer patterns. And why do I say so? Over the last 9 years, Nigerians have had it so rough. Between the period of 1999 to 2027 under Obasanjo government, we had a growing economy that was growing an average of 6.5% per annum. We had a middle class population of over 4 million people. Middle class that could afford brand new cars. When we talk about middle class population, we talk about people that earn between $60,000 to $90,000 per annum in terms of salaries, emolument, and take-home pay. Then people were coming in from Goldman Sachs, from JP Morgan Chase. Nigerians and diasporas were trooping in back here. But some of them did jackpot back to those Western countries. After the demise of Yar'Adua, and Nigeria began to see the economy began to tank until the last 9 years when we've had it so rough. Now, if you look at the weighted basket that they used, they actually said that they increased the items from about 800 to about 900 and something. It will be good for us to know the items and the weight assigned to such items for transparency's sake. And when he said there was changes in consumption patterns, there are actually changes in consumption patterns, because if you look at today in Nigeria, based on the purchasing power of the average Nigerian, you measure economic development or economic growth or based on the HDIs of the people. When Obasanjo handed over power, our GDP per capita was about $2,570. Today, it is less than $1,000. It's about $837. And if you look at the socioeconomic pyramid, over 197 million Nigerians actually live under poverty based on the World Bank income threshold. By the World Bank income threshold, anybody that earns less than $64.50 is termed to be poor. And if you are to use the current IFX, the official exchange market rate, you will see clearly that over one night. So the changes in the purchasing power of Nigerians have actually changed their consumption pattern. And you will see clear that over 197 million Nigerians spend a huge bulk of their monies on food, on rent, on school fees. But what the Statistics General has done at NBA is very, very good in the real sense of it. But I just want to believe that they just didn't do it for political expediency. If they have done it in the scientific way we expected them to do it, what we expect them to do now is publish the detailed result, show us the baskets of commodities and services and the weights attached.
Yeah, we've just got it on the screen there, that there is the detail. And I'm sure if you needed more information, you can probably get it from them. But I think the important thing, and why it was very good to have you with us, Because obviously the number crunchers, the NBS people, I mean, you know, even though he put a lot of clarity to it, but sometimes it's difficult for ordinary people to sort of understand the nuances and the intricacies of putting these figures together. And when your head is swirling with them, it might be difficult to communicate that. But I mean, what the fundamental economic realities remain the same as a result of this rebasing, or possibly got worse because, you know, of the erosion of the spending power of people and so on. But what has changed essentially is the methodology. Is that right?
No, it's not just the methodology. It's just beyond the methodology, beyond increasing the baskets of goods and services that they use and reassigning weights. There is something that he wrote that is very, very important. By the time we see the details and the weights assigned, it will also help in economic planning. It will also guide the investors. I give you an example today. 197 million Nigerians spend almost 90% of their income on food and rent. And we have seen some criminal situations in Nigeria where landlords charge rents, say 200,000, and they arbitrarily collect agency and legal fee of 100,000. There is no scientific basis. There is no rationality for it. So based on these weighted baskets, what the government will do, the policymakers, beyond the monetary, because I don't know why we pay so much emphasis on the monetary policy side. I say it to anybody who cares to listen. 95% of the problems we have in Nigeria are on the physical side. Yemi Cardoso is doing his best, trying to use monetary policy instruments to tackle problems that can easily be solved if those on the physical side. The federal government of Nigeria, the state governors and local government chairman are pulling their weight. By the time we look at the baskets of goods and services used, you will discover that over 65% of inflation here in Nigeria are actually caused by food inflation. And if you look at the base year that he used, 2024, if you look at food inflation between 2024 till now, it's actually within that band. So that 24% is not outrightly outrageous. Now, what do we do? Can we bring the rate down to single digit, even to 3% on that side? We can do it. Can we tackle the issue of the rent exploitations and wickedness in the system? We can do that. So basically, what the NBS have done is to give us their analysis and everything. It's left for the fiscal managers, for the managers, to sit down and analyze and see what they can do to tackle most of those issues, underlying factors that have brought us to where we are today.
Right. And just to be clear, that this is just a component part of towards the overall rebasing, because I mean they just looked at consumer price index, isn't it? I mean there is a lot more that will come that would have a bigger impact on the economy.
Charles, yes, I know that this is the first step towards rebasing the economy, but beyond rebasing the economy, we can take actual practical steps to bring down inflation. Charles, we know that over 65% of the inflation we have in Nigeria are actually food-driven. Most Nigerians are spending practically all their monies on food and rent. Now, since we have within the basket these inflation drivers, how do we curb food insecurity in Nigeria? How do we produce enough and be able to export massively over $250 billion worth of goods, agro commodities, the whole value chain, to enable us even inject dollar liquidity in the market that will help us even to reduce the exchange rate from the current official rate of 1,520 to even back to where it was in 2015 to 199. We can do it. Just I was looking at the numbers in there. I was discussing with some of my, I chair one of the biggest agro processing companies in the southeast, and I was looking at Netherlands. I looked at Netherlands. Land mass, arable land mass, 1.6 million hectares of land. They have 51,000 agro parks, clusters, with less than 200,000 people in the agri sector. In 2023, they did over 124 billion euro agro export. And I said to myself, I'm from the southeast of Nigeria. We have arable land mass of not less than 2.8 million hectares. If I am to be the governor of a state, of any of the 5 southeast states, There is no need of reinventing the wheel. All I need to do is to modify the Dutch model and introduce the Copado and the Igbo apprenticeship scheme. Set up agro parks in each of the electoral wards in my state. Tech and mechanized driven. Just I tell you the truth. There is no state in Nigeria or the state in the southeast that cannot do at least $20 to $50 billion. You know, one problem we have that sometimes we share some of these very unique templates to them. And when you share it with them, because the governors and local government chairmen are not willing to sit down, fold their arms and their sleeves and do the right thing, they will want to do a caricature version of it that will enable them to inflate contracts and award contracts and claim out money.
You know,
the truth is, if Netherlands, Charles, if Netherlands, 18 million people, right, 1.6 million hectares can do 122 billion euros, the Southeast can do $200 billion.
Well, it sounds like we're seeing...
And we know how to do it.
It sounds like we're seeing the beginnings of your governorship campaign here. But I'm not trying to, because, I mean, you sound very... you sound very interesting, and it's always a joy talking with you.
Charles, I don't need to be a governor.
No.
I don't need to be a governor.
I understand
if
that.
the current governors are serious, we can help them.
Yes, I understand that. And I've always prized your assessment, and I prize it again this time, particularly for ordinary people like us. Getting our heads around all these complicated economic theories can be a challenge, but we're grateful to people like you for helping us to interpret it. That's Dr. Nnameka Obiaraeri, who is a development economist and investment banking executive, and he was talking to me from our studios in Lagos.